And we are recording. Excellent. Welcome, world. I am so excited to share Shelia Whiteman with you today. Shelia is the best-selling author of To Pee or Not to Pee, the guide to reducing and eliminating urinary incontinence. Shelia helps women to stop worrying about bladder leaks. Now, I know I'm known for being open to listening to all kinds of topics. No subject is taboo. And Shelia has the ability to make a potentially uncomfortable situation comfortable once again. This is advice that matters. And here we are. Welcome to Liner Notes. Liner notes are the insight that artists or curators offer into what's really going on at the time of creation, that they're inspiring some masterpiece, some manuscript, some sculpture to be what it is. And oftentimes liner notes will tell you what's going on in the world at the time that they made this masterpiece. Michelle Hoffmann's liner notes is imperative insight and curated wisdom you need to inspire you to unblock your potential. In a changing world, you can find your unique path to create balance and enjoy an abundant life with all the resources you need. I'm Michelle Hoffmann. I help business owners and CEOs focus on their zone of genius, reduce the overwhelm, and give you more time to do what you love and increase your income by helping managers develop high professional, highly performing teams that meet the revenue goals. Discover how I can help you and your company succeed at lightthesparklady@gmail.com. lightthesparklady@gmail.com. Shelia, thank you so much for joining me today. This is a really important topic that, let's just say, we keep undercover, under wraps, and it's a big, big deal. So what kind of clients come to you, and when you're able to wave your magic wand, what do you help them achieve?
The type of clients that come to me are usually women who have had issues with bladder leaks, or they've had issues with going to the bathroom too frequently. There are two different ways that people can have issues. So it's not just bladder leaks. That's just the title of the book.
Right.
But women usually will come and seek help once it starts to interfere with their life. A lot of people have had a little bit of leakage when they cough, sneeze, etc. And if it doesn't bother you, you actually tend to discount it. We all do, because life is just busy. There's so many things, and especially for women, there are so many other things that we have to do that we really do not put ourselves first. So the person who comes to me generally has some concern and some worry by the time they see me. Now, I'll segue just a little bit. So I am a pelvic physical therapist, and I have a doctorate in physical therapy. So I've been working in a pelvic health specialty for several years, over 10 years. So even people who come in for bladder leaks, usually there is even something else associated that is going on. And that could be frequency. It could be that you get up at night to go to the bathroom. It could be that you actually have pain with sexual activity. There are so many things that go on down there that you can be helped with if you are open to seeking help.
That's awesome. And the whole thing about this entire topic, as you noted, is we're busy and we're getting through our day, and we're really the last people we think of to take care of, especially if it's something that it's like, oh, a little embarrassing, or we want to just forget that that just happened. If we cough, if we sneeze, if we, or if we just excuse ourselves to go to the bathroom, or in the middle of the night, nobody else really even knows that we're getting up and going to the bathroom.
Right.
But then that is going to intensely impact not only the next day, but the rest of our lives, because we're going to be overtired, exhausted, we haven't been able to get a rejuvenating night's sleep. So there's actually bigger issues at hand
Yes.
that
Yes.
are certainly affected by that. And you bringing your medical professional experience with over decades of experience and expertise helping people through this so that they don't have to have that worry and concern that they might just want to keep, like I said, under wraps because they don't want to have that concern or worry. So it's just shut it down. And if they just don't approach it, then it doesn't exist. But when
Yes.
it gets to the point where it does affect their lives, that's when they come to you,
Correct.
right?
That
What
is absolutely correct.
what kinds of things do you help them with?
So I help them. What actually I do is first, because this is a coaching program,
Mhm.
I actually get the information that I need. As I said before, there's usually more than one issue. And I do want to back up a little bit because a lot of women also think that leakage is something that just happens as you age.
Oh.
And it actually is not.
So
Um,
leakage is not a requirement.
and leakage is not a requirement, along with all the other lovely things that women deal with as they age. Leakage should not be one of them. So even for women who are wearing light panty liners,
Mhm.
light pads, you're wearing them because you're leaking. And I always mention that because when I was in the clinic, women would come to me for a different issue. Pelvic health physical therapy, leakage is just one part that we do. So say, for example, you came to me with abdominal pain and we do the evaluation. You'll come in wearing a pad. We will discuss leakage and they will still look me in the face and say, no, I don't have any leakage. No, because I'm fine, I'm not leaking. But you're wearing a pad because you leak.
It's a
So we
hard thing
really
to
have a lot of
accept.
denial when it comes to this.
Right.
And it takes people a really longer time to seek help because it's not a life or death situation.
Right. So one of the things I want to ask you too, because you've been working in the field for over 10 years and you are
Yes.
evaluating and diagnosing because you're a medical practitioner and you're helping them leap the gap from, first of all, understanding that this is a real issue and you don't need to
Mm-hmm.
deny it and you don't need to live with it because it's
Right.
not something that is a requirement. It's something that can be helped. Are
That is
you able to
correct.
help people virtually as well?
Yes, so that is why I actually developed the coaching program. So in the coaching program, I am not diagnosing you. What
Okay.
we're doing is we are discussing together what your issues are, and then we're working through recommendations that both of us come up with that can help you solve your issue. So I provide education. I can point out different things that might not be considered the norm,
Mm-hmm.
whereas you might not have known that. And then from there, we can develop a program that is specifically for you. So the coaching program that I have is a one-on-one program.
Got
It's
it.
actually personalized because although there are a lot of aspects that all of us have that are similar, there are also aspects of your problem that are not the same as the next person.
Right. And we all
So
want
we
to.
want to make sure that in the time that we have together, the program is 8 weeks. You can continue, but the basic program is 8 weeks. We want to make sure that in that 8 weeks, you get some relief, some solving of the issue that brought you to me.
Awesome. So in fact, you are a practicing medical practitioner. This coaching, and you can also offer a coaching program virtually. which is such a gift. That means anyone, anywhere in the world can access your experience, your knowledge, your understanding. And it sounds like it's also still very customized and personalized,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that, um, that education is collaborated upon between, the person you're working with, and then they get access to all of your skills and experience and knowledge. What a gift you're sharing. Will you
Thank you.
will you share with us some of the things that you actually help people with? Like, what kinds of tips and tools do you use or recommend or suggest?
So a lot of the things that I do actually are education.
Mm-hmm.
I think that once you become aware of what your habits should be and what you're doing, that is the beginning of change, even within you.
Right.
When people, yes, yes. So I have people who come to me for coaching for the beginnings of leakage, because that is actually the best time to start. Not so much where it's running down your leg, because then it takes longer. It
Right.
could be due to a different issue. And believe me, if we in our talks find out that there are more things that need to be done medically, then I will ask you to get whatever information you need from a physician.
Right.
But that being said, so say for example, anyone came to me and they said, okay, well, when I cough and sneeze every single time now, it's getting worse and worse and worse.
Mm.
I have a little bit of leakage and I'm beginning to get worried. We start to work on that. There are people who exercise and leak.
Yeah.
And it's stopping them from exercising. It's stopping them from living the life that they love, that they enjoy,
Right.
because they have leakage.
Right.
There are women who are working, who are at meetings and are uncomfortable in their meeting because they feel like
Sounds like a
they have to
nightmare.
get up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And you really can't focus. You can't
No.
focus on what anybody is saying because your
No. Because
is,
you're
yes,
worried about a debacle.
yes,
And
you
I
are.
mean,
You actually are worried about that leak.
because,
What if
oh my
this is the
God, yeah,
day?
I'm putting myself in that situation, and it's like, you don't want to interrupt everything. You don't want to get
Right.
up and excuse yourself. But if you don't and you stay there,
Mm-hmm.
that could be, I mean, oh, it would just be awful.
Yeah. Yeah, and you sit there, there comes a point where then people who are like this, they just get tired of it. And the interesting thing about it is that the reason why I wrote the book and started to do the coaching is because people don't know where to go.
Well,
Because,
absolutely.
yeah,
There's
like who would know? Who would know?
okay, so let me just think for a second, because um I might, like, my first point of contact might be somebody related by blood who might have a similar genetic scenario,
Yeah.
a mom, a sister, an aunt, a cousin, who I might trust enough to ask. I
Yeah.
might ask somebody in the locker room at the gym. I
Mm-hmm.
might ask my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
I might ask my healthcare practitioner,
Right.
but
Right.
they may not even know, and they may steer me in the wrong direction.
Well,
So this is huge.
yeah, yeah. And there are many times where you will mention it to your healthcare provider, and they will say, "Oh, you just need to do Kegels. You need to
Yeah,
do Kegels."
that
Yeah,
that
because
was
that's
my
very
assumption.
common.
Yeah.
It's a common comment. However,
Okay.
that's just telling you you can go outside and blow some bubbles because you really don't really know how to do Kegels. They
Oh,
just tell you, pretend like you're cutting off the flow of urine, maybe when you're sitting on the toilet. Uh, that will kind of tell you where your muscles are.
right.
It's not going to give you the program that you need to stop the amount of leakage that you have.
Okay, so
Um,
you're opening my eyes and
okay,
closing my bladder at the same time, because
yes.
I knew the answer would be go do more Kegels. So I figured that was the solution, but it sounds like there's so much more.
Right, because you might have, and I've run into this situation with a few clients, where before we even start to do the Kegels, after I get the basic information I need from them, and that's having them do a bladder diary so I can see what's going on.
Of
I
like
can look at the
when you
bladder.
go to the bathroom or how much or what
You do?
color?
Yeah, because I'm telling you, it is an eye opener. It was an
Yeah.
eye opener when I did it years ago, because I did it, years ago when I, I was younger, and you don't even think that you have any issues, when you're younger, whatever, life is good.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at that, and I was like, I didn't realize that I went to the bathroom so frequently,
No.
and that I didn't have to or shouldn't. And I was able to correct that.
Okay,
You
so
know.
we put together a diary of, and I'm guessing, so fill in the blanks for me here.
Mm-hmm.
How frequently, like when you go, about how much you go, the
Mm-hmm.
color, the,
Mm-hmm. I don't want to. You don't have to tell me the color.
okay.
No, no. I just need to know if you have any leakage. When do you leak? If you do, what do you eat or drink? And there's a few other things that are on there that give me a fuller picture of what I need to see.
And what do you do with that information? What's the next
Uh-huh.
step?
I can look at it. Actually, from there, I have you fill it out. I send you a class that explains to you what your bladder diary will tell you.
Mm,
And yeah, so you're looking at the information, and it's, you can actually find the information a lot of places, but I condense it so everything is there for you. You don't have to search. So you're going to read your bladder diary in front of you. You're going to look at the class that I have. And from there, you're going to look at that and see what differences from the norm do you see in your bladder diary.
okay.
And then we get together, and I usually will add on another layer,
Mm-hmm.
but you have the gist once you see it, because it's kind of glaring. The only thing that's not glaring is if you have issues with relaxation of your pelvic floor.
Yeah, nobody
I
talks about that. They only say make it
do
tighter.
the Kegels. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're always saying do the Kegels, but you have to. You don't have to know, but a lot of people do know that it is very difficult to strengthen a muscle that is tight. You strengthen your muscles by
Oh,
tightening it. If it's already tight, what are you accomplishing? You
right.
cannot strengthen it, maybe minimally, but not enough to make a difference in changing your condition and what you're worried about.
That's a very interesting point because strengthening a muscle, we would assume that because it's tight, it's strong. And that may be a misunderstanding.
Right, because muscles that are in spasm are tight. Does that mean that they're strong? No.
It
It
means you,
means they're irritated,
right.
or
So,
there's something else going on, but it does not mean that it's strong. And if your muscle, say for example, a lot of us have had back pain. If
yeah.
you live long enough, you've had it. That's
Right.
another one of my seminars is back pain. But so if you live long enough, you have had back pain, and sometimes you've had those back spasms.
Yeah, and I don't
You
really feel like working out to make
That's what
it
I was getting
stronger.
ready to say. Yeah, you're not going to be strengthening anything, and you're not going to be working on anything while you're doing that, except for maybe trying to relieve it. And that's just an example of how you can't really strengthen something that is tight.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm. So
so
it's just
relevant.
not as simple as doing Kegels. It would be wonderful if it was, because people would not actually have this problem,
Right.
because
So,
everybody tried to do Kegels.
right. And it seems like a simple solution.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the only solution. The Kegels
It
are
is
great.
not the only solution, because I teach you how to properly do Kegels.
Hmm.
I teach you relaxation of your pelvic floor. I teach you additional exercises that you do that have nothing to do with actually your pelvic floor, that are accessory to help strengthen your pelvic floor.
Oh, yeah, because it's not just that one set of muscles, it's all the
Yeah,
auxiliary supporting
yeah.
muscles.
Everything in your body works in conjunction with everything else.
Mhm.
It actually does. So you can work with even the area that surrounds your pelvis. And because this is especially effective for people who have extremely weak pelvic floor muscles. And there are a lot of people out there that have very weak pelvic floor muscles. When I was in the clinic doing evaluations, actually manual, we test your pelvic floor strength. We do test it, glove finger, we do test it. Just in case you go to the clinic, you know, want to coach
Have an
it, just know
expectation.
that that's going to be happening. And if
Right.
it doesn't, then it puts you at a little bit of a deficit. So if you're in the clinic. So once we test, and I have to tell you, I have seen, I don't know, 200-300 women maybe, just for incontinence. And I will go to test them. I'll say, okay, even squeeze my finger, because that's an easy cue to give people for starting a Kegel. Squeeze my finger. You see all of this. Squeeze legs, squeezing together, holding your breath, everything. I say, okay, you've done that, but are you squeezing my finger? You gonna squeeze it now? I did. You didn't feel it?
Oh.
No, I didn't.
So this goes
So
back to
over a good 80% of women, when you do a pelvic floor test for strength, it's not good.
Well, it's a reminder, you're giving us a reminder, Sheila, that we may not even have the awareness that we have influence over this part of our body.
Yeah.
And I imagine that could be a result of many, many different things. But to bring awareness to that and then have some influence and control over it must be very empowering for these people who you're really helping.
Yes, that is a great point. It is actually empowering. I think there is a light bulb that actually goes off after maybe the second time I see them.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, why didn't I know?
Yeah.
Why didn't I know? Why has no one told me that even this part, that I should take care of the structures in my pelvic area just as much as I work out at the gym. Try to, do ab work.
So
why has this not been just as important?
Right.
Yeah.
So you bring up such a good point. And I think I was itemizing all the people who I might feel comfortable enough to actually have this conversation with. But where during our course of, dinner conversation or having a coffee or in the workplace or at school or even with my healthcare practitioner would be like, oh yeah, this is vital. It's your very center of your core. And this is going to be, everything's moving from this. And so you're like, why didn't I know? Who isn't telling me? So this is a really, really important, vital topic so that we know, one, so we don't miss it. Because as you're saying, if somebody has gotten to the point where they're actually seeking help, thank goodness they are. But let's help people before they need the help.
Right.
So that we don't ask, why didn't I know? Why didn't you tell me? So we're telling you now.
We're telling you now. We're telling you now. And that is one of the reasons too that I wrote the book. So if you read my book, it's not overly complicated. There are a lot of books out there on bladder leaks and incontinence. I've read a lot of them. And even as a therapist, I'm reading them and I'm like, oh, that's a little bit too much information. Or we're going to lose people by giving them too much that you don't really need.
So your book is actually approachable, readable, and supportive.
And doable.
And doable.
Yeah, because it's broken up so that there are steps. And it puts this almost the same education that I put in the coaching program. So it's almost the same steps. Okay, let's do this. make sure you have this and mastered it as best you can. Let's move on to this.
Right.
Master this as best you can. Let's move on to this. And then it has little quizzes in the book just to make sure that you understand the knowledge.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So really helping people by giving them awareness and ensuring they understand in a way that we can actually receive the information, like
Yes.
the girlfriend's guide type of thing. But what happens what kind of obstacles do people run into if they don't follow, if they're not aware, why didn't I know? And they're, and they don't know what to do. If they try and figure it out on their own, what could happen?
Well, I mean, this is part of the booming poise and, panty liner industry, is that people really don't know. I saw you go like this.
I'm like, there's a booming panty liner industry who doesn't want us to know.
Well, yes, but yes, different
Oh my God.
combo, but yeah. So I think what happens is that your obstacle or what your future will be is that you, number one, will be spending money on these products that
Right.
you can, and I always say you can spend that money on purse or shoes. I'm a purse or shoe girl.
And
So
I'm
you
just
can
going
spend
to
money.
point out, can I pause you for a second?
Yes, yes.
You said number one, and I guess, I'm sorry, I saw the double entendre on that. And I'd much rather spend money on purse or shoes or anything luxury related than my number one.
Mm-hmm.
Carry on. I just wanted to point that out.
Right,
There's
right.
budget choices.
Very good segue. Very good segue. But yeah, you, number one, that you do eventually or can eventually wind up spending money that you don't have to spend.
Right.
Even if you
fast.
reduce your bladder leak, even if you reduce it, you're still reducing the usage of,
Right.
pads, etc. The other thing that you want to be able to feel comfortable with is even, and I know this is, the time where a lot of us are inside, but we're eventually getting back out. So you want to be able to go to a movie and
Right.
sit through a movie, because I'm telling you, even I go to a movie and I know there are women there, they are waiting and waiting and waiting, hoping that they, well, I'm going to wait. There has to be a lull coming up here. There has to be a lull coming up here. And they, you go, and I've even done this, you forget to go to the bathroom. And I've even done this and gone, wait as long as I possibly could now. And so instead of enjoying the movie is, my thought,
like,
how much longer is this movie? Is it almost done? I wonder if I should really get up and go to the bathroom now. I can wait another 10 minutes, but maybe not 10 minutes. I'm just going to have to wait as long as I can because the movie is good. These are all the thoughts that are going through your head.
Right.
You get up and you go, and of course, whatever is good is going to happen in the movie happens as soon as you wake up.
So there's so much stress and distress because your head's not on enjoying your life and the company and the plot that you're with, but you're sitting there going, how much longer?
Right. And just take that. You can take that to movie. You can take that to your meeting at work. You can take that to long trip in the car. Just take it to whatever you want to, even trying to go shopping, those of us who know
car
where
ride,
all anything are.
Even right now, it's harder to find a safe, clean, available, accessible place to do that in an appropriate and comfortable manner.
Yeah.
So knowing that you have the endurance and longevity will give you confidence that you didn't have in the past.
Yes. So that was the whole point. Bladder leaks are very worrisome because you don't know where they're going to progress or go. Right. Some people, they actually can stay where they are. Those are the great people to get to, because if it's staying stable, that really means that you can probably reduce it or eliminate it. But the big fear is, what if, like my mom, aunt, whoever, I have to wind up wearing pads or diapers? Yeah. That really is very concerning for a lot of women, outside of what happens if one day I leak and it goes through my clothes?
Right. And to your point on that, because genetically similar women maybe have chosen that path of wearing the panty liners and the protective diapers and things. Maybe there's just an assumed, well, they do it, so that'll be my path as well. But this is an
Yes.
intervention because it does not have to be your destiny. So, what kinds of things will signal someone very clearly that it is time? They can do it on their own, they can just accept their destiny, or they can reach out to somebody like you, Sheila, so that they don't have to accept that as part of the natural process.
Yes. So first, I really do want everyone to understand that bladder leaks are not normal. They don't have to occur as you age. Just because your mom had leaks does not mean that you will. So I first put those out there because those
Okay.
are a lot of the common statements that I get when I'm doing, because I do or did before this, I did a lot of live talks, and I usually target seniors only because I want them to know. So
But
I
it's
just did a
not
lot of
just
talks.
seniors dealing with this kind of stuff at all.
Right, right, right. So, but if you fall into the categories, any of the categories actually, or the examples that I just said, you are still working and you can't sit through a meeting. You are uncomfortable or fearful that you will leak in public. You like to run, CrossFit, anything like that, and you're noticing that you have to wear a pad because you're leaking. Even the laugh, cough, sneeze, running water, putting the key in the door when you get home and you're trying to run to the bathroom, a couple drops come out. These are all keys that it's time to really address this,
Right.
and get a handle on it, because you don't want to be one of the women who is really struggling when this progresses, because it can progress. People who have a lot of leakage, uh, the scenario that a lot of people seem to think occurs is that just one day you just have a lot of leakage. Just one day you're doing something and all this comes down, your legs through your clothes. That actually is not true. It's generally progressive. So it'll start with a couple drops and it'll be a couple more. Then that's when you're going to buy the pad. Then it's going to be, a couple more. And from there, you're actually going to start even running to the bathroom more often,
Right.
because you want to make sure that you don't have a lot of liquid in your bladder. So now we run into frequency.
Right.
Frequency can be changed because it's a brain bladder connection. We work on that. You can change your frequency so that it's more normalized. You get up at night.
Right.
If you get up more than once at night, it's an issue. We all are starting to learn the importance of sleep.
Yeah.
And how important it is not only for your mental health, but for your body physically. There are a lot of illnesses and a lot of problems that occur because we don't rest well. And we don't rest well for a lot of reasons. It's not just getting up to go to the bathroom, but if you're a poor sleeper and you get up to go to the bathroom, it's hard to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So now you've killed an hour and a half, 2 hours trying to fall back asleep. And you have to get up the next morning and do everything that we all have to do.
And so instead of worrying about endurance or frequency or lack of sleep, somebody could reach out to you or somebody like you, Sheila, and get the tips and tools so that they can be the master of that situation and aware of what's going on, so that it is not going to prevent them from living a full and happy life without worry. Sheila, how would somebody reach out to somebody like you? And I think you said you had a gift that you'd be willing to share with those of you who are listening to this.
Yes, so you can download my book for free.
Mhm.
It's my name, so I will just spell everything out because it's a long name. But you go to HTTPS, so secure site, // and then my name, Shelia Shelia, Craig, Craig, Whiteman, Whiteman, yourfeaturedauthor.com. You can just hit a button there. It says download the book. The book will directly download to you. You will add in your email address. And you can also
I'll put it in the link here as well.
Great. And you can also directly email me. I think my email address is going to be in the link also, but it is the pelvicdpt@gmail.com. So you can remember me because I do pelvic work and I'm a doctor of physical therapy. So I'm trying to make it really easy. Pelvic
right,
DPT.
super easy. We can email Shelia Craig Whiteman at thepelvicdpt@gmail.com.
Correct.
THEPELVICDPT@gmail.com. And
Correct.
by connecting with you, we can become aware of that part of ourselves that nobody ever taught us about, because it's not a normal conversation to have. And that way it won't be inevitable that we have to deal with these issues and concerns, saving us money, saving us time, saving us hours of restful relaxation and sleep, knowing that we'll have the endurance and won't have to worry about the frequency of being incontinent or bladder leakage. Shelia, thank you so much for joining me on Michelle Hoffmann's Liner Notes today. You have advice that matters.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being with you. I enjoyed the interview. And yes, I would encourage, of course, anyone who is really thinking about our topic that we had today to just contact me. We can just talk and we can figure out what's going on, or you can just get some advice. So yeah, just feel free to contact me. You can tell I talk about it openly.
Awesome.
To any and everybody.
Thank you, Shelia.